time or have a bad show?
You know, one of the big memories I have was watching Roy Disney as the person who had to pick up from Walt and lead the whole charge down there, which he did. And I remember sitting watching the day before we opened when they were rehearsing it. And if you look at the wonderful piece of sculpture that Blaine Gibson did that's in the Magic Kingdom of Walt Disney World with Roy and sitting next to Minnie Mouse. That was exactly what was going on. He was talking to the characters during this rehearsal the night before, but you know, I hadn't worked with Roy. I worked very closely with Walt on a number of things, but I hadn't worked with Roy until that time. And you know, he actually gave his life to that project because 3 months after the park opened, he had a heart attack and passed away. And he was doing this for his brother. And I thought, you know, there are few people in the world that had that kind of heart to really be the person that made sure that his brother's dream came true. That was one of the more fascinating things for me out of the whole project. He was quite a person, I must say. But of course, we had some other challenges with Roy. John Hench and I were very unhappy because in the beginning, when we had styles of hotels, and on the original model we did for Walt Disney World, there were 5 styles of hotels. There was a Persian, there was an Asian, there was a Mediterranean, I think, and there was a Polynesian and a Contemporary. And the Polynesian and the Contemporary were the 2 hotels that were built. But John and I felt Contemporary, that's not really a name. You know, it really isn't. It's a style. It's a description. So we came up with a whole beautiful graphics package. It was called the Tempo Bay Hotel on the shores of Bay Lake. And it was really a beautiful package. We took it to Roy, and he listened very politely to the whole thing. And when we were through, he said, "What's wrong with Contemporary?" And you know, I still think, I said, it taught me, keep it simple, stupid. Because now, 40 years later, it's one of the more popular hotels in the world, 700 rooms. Not bad for a Contemporary hotel. Of course, it had that monorail going through it. That's a little...
At the time, that monorail was, if you remember, was quite an icon. The idea of why would you build a building that looked like it was tipped in on itself and then have a monorail zoom right through the thing like it was a blue painter? But I guess that's Contemporary. There were some engineers that did not believe that was possible, and of course they worried about a train going through the hotel, and we could never convince them that this is not steel wheels on steel rail making a big racket and shaking a building. But they still didn't want to believe it. So on Labor Day, just before the opening, we had set up a test where we would take a seismograph, put it in the building to measure the shaky building when the train went through it. And because the train was designed to go through the building at 10 miles per hour, and nobody else was allowed in the building, they had me drive the train all by myself. Wide open electrical throttle through this building at about 42 miles per hour in order to get lots of vibrations. And I did that 3 or 4 times. But I'll tell you, going through an opening where the train just barely makes the opening, I have never seen a building get so small and an opening gets so big. The seismograph didn't show a thing. The monorail was that smooth, the building was that nice, and they did no more questions.
It's a true story that John mentioned where the architects from Welton Beckett's organization who did the Polynesian and the Contemporary, they came, the 2 architects who were primarily concerned they came and said, we're resigning this account if you're going to take the monorail through it. Because this is a building and you don't run a train through a building. And John pulled out a piece of paper and he said, sign your name here that you're resigning this account on this, because of this issue. And of course they didn't do it. But you know, there are a lot of challenges for things like that. Kim, what was your first thought when you went down to Walt Disney World? Compared to, I mean, we're so 160 acres here at Disneyland. Everything is so close to it.
Well, it was overwhelming, of course, and I was so proud of my mom, Lee Toombs. Everybody knows my Lee Toombs. She moved down there, actually. She relocated to open up the first figure finishing department. And so she gave me quite a tour of the utilidors and, you know, all of the things that Disneyland did have. And we had a funny story that she was right underneath the Mickey Mouse Review, which was a new show that we had done for the first time for Walt Disney World. And we laughed because she could hear little Alice singing over and over and over again. In the rain, buttercups, kiss the tulips. And she's going. But we always laughed because when we were first mocking up that show at WDI back in the big warehouse, remember, we do like full-size mock-ups so that everybody could make sure that the information was working and everything. They were coming over to buy it off. The team was coming over to look at it. And Mom noticed that Alice didn't have any shoes yet. She was still standing up there barefoot. So she said, come on, we've got to go get Alice shoes. So we went up to the town of Glendale, right up the street, and we went to every shoe store and said, we need little Mary Janes, just this size, little Mary Janes. Nobody had them. They were always too big or too little. So we finally went to Buster Bound shoe store, and Mom was just exasperated. She said, I've got to have little Mary Janes this size. And he brought out a pair, and he says, well, this is just a size smaller. And she says, that's okay, we'll just trim her feet down. We never did tell Mom But she was down there for about 5 years, and I went to visit her often and watched the park grow and develop. And I think the most stunning thing was our Disneyland, which we were so used to, was landscape. So, you know, everything had grown in and it felt so intimate and full and charming. Where Disney World didn't have that opportunity. It was still all very new landscape, and things felt huge in comparison. The walkways were bigger, and you know, it was really designed for many more people, and the buildings were larger. But I think through time, as it's grown, it's definitely, you know, become its own.
When the road was put in, they had a whole crew trying to get all the roads fixed, and it looked nice, and like the grass had been there forever and so on. And they had these trucks with big pieces of sod. And some of them had dirt side up, and some of them was grass side up. And there were men walking along the top of the road screaming, green side up! Green side up! And sure enough, there was a whole bunch of dirt sides up. Look out and turn it over, but I never got one of the dirt side down, green side up. And they were, you know, anybody would know that the grass side It's like the joke saying, I'd rather see the green side up than the brown side down. Calling that out?
That would be crucial, green side up.
Well, there was more than one big news.
Alice, you know, you were so friendly with Mary Blair, and that was such a big challenge. She had to do that mural in the Contemporary.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk about that with you guys?
Yes, there was a very sad moment in her life with that. Whenever she would come and would stay, for a couple of weeks, and that she would always come to our house for dinner on the first night, and then she would come for dinner quite often. I noticed she was different. She was not smiling, and was very serious, and then she started crying one night she would come out and sit in the kitchen with me while I was fixing dinner. I said, Mary, there's something terribly wrong. Your color has gone bad, and you're sad, and I've never seen you like this. I said, what's happening? And her oldest son was carrying the flag for the family for being the next artist coming along, and she gave him her Carmen Gia convertible that she really loved to take to school with him, and they showered him with all kinds of things. And unfortunately, when they sent him to the best art school there was at the time, which was in Philadelphia, and they had no life hospital insurance for themselves, and she got a phone call that the son was only in school for about a week or two, and they had a party, and he took a big dose of LSD, and he completely flipped out and became a schizo. And the first week, their hospital bill for him was $30,000. And they put him in a mental institution. And if you have somebody in a mental institution in New York, you have to sell your house, your business, everything to take them out. You had to move to another state. So they moved back to California, and they sold their beautiful home, and he sold his advertising agency and all that. It was a terrible situation. And that's what happened, but she stayed with it and did the whole...
That was the time she was designing that
That was the time she was designing the mural. And she stayed with it. And it was very difficult for her. And she was a real trooper. She came to the
Yeah, it's such a beautiful way. It warms up the whole interior of that hotel.
It made all the difference in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It gave it warmth.